Hey, thanks for clicking on my video. If this video helps you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. It is greatly appreciated and it really helps. Let's get to the video. In my previous video, we discussed what a radian is, and now let's talk about how we can actually convert between degrees and radians, and then radians and degrees. So it's two simple formulas here. We've seen in that previous video that a full circle is 360 degrees, and a full circle circumference is also 2 pi radians. So if it's 2 pi radians, then if we divide by 2, then that means 180 is equal to pi radians, and this is how we get our ratio. So if I want to go from degrees to radians, we can multiply our degree measure by pi over 180. So pi radians over 180 degrees. If I want to go the other way, it's simply the reciprocal of that. We want to multiply our radian measure by 180 degrees over pi radians. So let's take a look at 4 examples here. 2 where we're going from degree to radians, that would be our even examples here, or excuse me, our odd examples, 1 and 3, and from radians to degrees, which would be 2 and 4. So how do we know which one's which? Well, if we're going from degrees to radians, we're going to see our degree symbol there. If we're going from radians to degrees, we're going to have pi in our initial measurement, okay? All right, so for number 1, we're going from negative 150 degrees, and we want to translate that into radians. So we're going to use our formula up here, pi radians over 180. So we're going to do negative 150 times pi over 180. So now here we want our degree, or we want our measure, our angle measure to be in radians, which means we should have pi in our answer, which is nice here because we're not going to lose pi. So technically we do have degrees here, and the degree measures are going to cancel each other out, so we lose the label of degrees, and now it becomes radians. So now we could just simplify negative 150 over 180, and that's going to give us negative 5 over 6, and I'm going to put my pi up here, so that would be our radian measure, negative 5 pi over 6, or you could say negative 5/6 pi. All right, number 2, 9 pi over 4. We see pi there, so that's a radian measure. We're going to translate that into degrees. So we're going to take 9 pi over 4, and we're going to multiply that by 180 degrees over pi radians, okay? So now here we want to end up in degrees, so notice how our pi will cancel. So now we just have 9 times 180 divided by 4. So we want to simplify, cross-simplify 180 over 4 would be 90 and 2. And so 9 times 90 would give us 810, and 810 divided by 2 would give us a degree measure of 405 degrees. All right, number 3, 315 degrees. So once again, we're going to go from degrees to radians. So if we have 315 degrees, we're going to multiply this by pi over 180 degrees. So our degree unit will cancel out. And so now we just have 315 over 180. Both of those, the GCF would be 45. So 315 divided by 45 would be 7. So we have 7 pi. And then 180 divided by 45 would be 4. So we're just reducing that fraction there. So our radian measure for 315 degrees would be 7 pi over 4 radians. And number 4, pi over 9. So now our last one's going from radians back to degrees. So we're going to do pi over 9 times 180 over pi. So the pi's cancel. And now we just have 180 divided by 9, which would be 20, and we're left with our label of degrees. Okay, so that's how you can convert between degrees and radians, and also radians and degrees.